A Garhammer exercise is a core exercise that I see a lot of people do it on a bench. I generally do it based on the ground just because it's more accessible. It's a little bit easier to find space in the gym to do it there. That being said, you'll see as I do this, you can do it on a bench if that's easier for you. Choose whatever you think fits best. But to do that, I'm going to lay on my back with something behind me that I can hold on to kind of stabilize myself. I normally like something flat that I can kind of put my hands under. For the purposes of being in this, on screen in the video in my space here, I'm just going to hold on to my bar like this. And what I'm going to do, guys, is my focus here, like I said, is an ab exercise. So I'm engaging my ribs, right, and locking my back down flat to the floor, okay? So creating that tension there, that's going to be the key to this exercise. Now, there's two parts to this movement. That is legs going out and legs going up. And there's variations of it. There's a little bit harder version. There's a little bit easier version. I'll show you guys the easier one first. We'll go into the hard one second. So the easier version, actually, I'd say there's two, or rather three variations of this that I'll go through. The first is a very simple one where we're going to start with our knees up, our back is flat to the floor. I'm extending my legs out, bringing in, pushing up, down, out, and up. And you can see on that up, I kind of lift my hips off the floor a little bit. You could modify this into kind of a curl up. You can get into the weeds a lot on this. I'm going to try not to do that too much because I like to do that a lot. But back flat, extend the legs out, bring them in, and push up. Now, again, that's kind of the easier version. You can see there's not a whole lot of range of motion there. To modify that slightly, maybe you shoot your hips up a little bit higher off the floor. So then you come in, you go up. I felt my microphone tuck into my chin whenever I did that, so hopefully you guys can still hear me. Let's try that again. In, up, down, out. And you can see, guys, in this out, whenever I press my legs, I'm trying my best to keep my core engaged and my back flat to the floor, which is very challenging, right? It's not an easy thing to do there. I'm going to tuck my shirt in so I'm not letting my gut hang out for you guys. I might actually start this video over. Let's just do that. Take it from the top, boys. This video is for a Garhammer. This is a core exercise. I like to do it based on the ground just because there's more ground space than there is benches. But I see a lot of people do it on benches as well. Either one works, just depending on what you have access to. That being said, I'm going to lay flat on my back and anchor my hands on something behind me just to kind of stabilize my body because your legs are going to be moving all around here. What you want to be focused on is keeping your ribs tucked down, tight, back flat to the floor as much as you can. Now, that being said, guys, there's three variations of this I'm going to show you, and I will move progressively from the easier variation to the harder one. So the first is kind of what I would call a curl up. So we'll start just in a simple position here to get our back set. That's tight to the floor. My abs are engaged. I'm going to extend my legs out, bring them in, curl up off the floor just a little bit. Down, out, bring them in, curl up off the floor. And just that little curl, you'll feel kind of your core obviously trying to do that crunch. It is tough. Even if that's the easiest version of this, it's still a tough exercise. Now, the second version, I'm going to bring my knees in, and I'm going to shoot my hips up off the floor and push my feet towards the ceiling. So what does that look like? Legs are out. I'm in, up, back down, and out. In, up, back down, and out. So again, that's a harder variation of it, but still kind of the mid-range in difficulty, right? So maybe you start with that curl up, you build into this a little bit, you gain some control that you're able to shoot your legs up without falling over, obviously, which is another reason we hold on here. The third version, very similar to the last one, but we're going to accentuate that last part where we're extending my legs out. So rather than bringing them in and pushing them out, I'm going to bring my back down to the floor and lower my legs slowly but straight. So what does that look like? We'll start in our position here. We extend, in, up, and my back comes down to the floor. I keep that tight, but let my legs down straight. In, up, back to the floor, control down straight. One more. Back to the floor, legs down straight. That is the hardest version of 3, guys. But that's 3 different versions of a Garhammer. If you look it up online, you're going to see any variation of those listed as the way to do it. But I like to give you guys options to kind of show you different regressions and progressions. So that's a Garhammer.